Orianthi, it's Dennis from the Australian Rock Show. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing really great. And how are you doing?
I'm very well. Look, it's wonderful to finally get you on the show. We've got a whole bunch of things to cover today, and we are going to dig into your past. And I guess we should start with where you're currently at. Personally and professionally, I guess the past 2 or 3 years have been quite eventful for you. Yet I do believe you're putting the finishing touches on a brand new Orianthi album, all mastered and ready to roll.
Totally. I'm so excited about this record. Really excited. We did it in 28 days in Nashville. Marty Fredrickson, who's a dear friend of mine, amazing songwriter, producer. I just flew out to Nashville where my management's at and storage and everything, and I love it over there for creating. And I made my last record too with Dave Stewart there too at Blackbird. There's some kind of energy in Nashville. You know what I mean? It's just a great feeling when you get there. And so many musicians are there, and I think for that reason too. And we just jumped right into the studio, and Marty and I wrote and recorded, the 28 in 28 days, all the songs, and it was just a great fun experience. And we really experimented with a lot of different sounds, textures, with synths and layers, and just everything. I mean, this record is not too much of a departure from my past stuff, but it is different. So I think people get what they sort of expect with the heavy riffage and all that kind of stuff, and big solos. But there's a lot of different sort of sounds going on, and textures and stuff, as I said, like with drum loops and synths and different guitar tones as well. So it's kind of like it's not like just staying with one tone throughout the whole record. Like every solo is kind of a little different too. So
were all of the tracks on this forthcoming release, were they written specifically for this album, or were there any which you'd had maybe up your sleeve for some time which were finessed for inclusion?
Yeah, a couple were finessed, but pretty much majority of them were just all written for this record. Yeah, like the song called like Sinner's Hymn, which I had for a minute. And I brought that in, and then we added the chorus to it because it had a different chorus and made it sound a little heavier. And I think that's kind of it. Yeah, because the rest was just written, all for this record. And one was written with Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, which was amazing that he just brought these like killer lyrics. He emailed them to me, and I was like, whoa, these are amazing. And we wrote a song with those lyrics, Marty and I, and I'm really excited for people to hear this record, and hopefully they dig it as much as we enjoyed making it,
So without giving all the details away, is there a first single chosen off the album as yet? I guess a personal standout track?
There's a couple that I'm thinking of right now. I don't know. I've talked to the label about it because there's going to be announcements soon from the label's end and my end at the same time. We're going to do it together. And then we're going to, sort of decide upon which one or two songs we put out, because I kind of want to put out like 2 songs, I'm like, because it's been a while since I put out music, but we'll see what makes sense and what's right. And, it's sort of a team discussion with everybody. So, yeah.
I guess it's difficult with the current situation, but does the album have a release date as yet?
That's the thing right now. We're just trying to figure out when we're going to put out all the tracks. I think in the next few months we're going to put out a track, but I'm hoping this year. I mean, obviously everything's changed with the way, obviously you can't, tour or anything like that, but we can do live streams, and I've tried a few actually, and I'm actually not going to do too many more, just a few more, I think. But yeah, because it's been, just playing songs and keeping people entertained at home on social media has been a good thing. And, music helps me, and, and it's hopefully an escape for other people to go on my page and watch me, play away some of my old songs like that. But I think that moving forward, like with this new record, the release party and stuff like that, which I wanted to do, everything was planned, and the small tour and all that kind of stuff. Visiting Europe, where my label's kind of at too, and all that, back to Australia as well. And that's going to have to be, like next year. Hopefully this gets all under control, what's going on. So yeah, that's the hope. But I think, just putting music out there, we'll find a way to get it out, hopefully this year, whole record, but I'm not sure the date exactly,
Now, Australian fans will know that in July of last year, you were back home and did a gig at the Gov in Adelaide. Yet I do recall that there was a performance with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra from last year as well, part of a tribute to Prince titled Let's Go Crazy. Did that show go ahead?
It didn't. There was some stuff that happened, so it didn't. I think some legal stuff went down. So
okay.
I just was told, oh, it's not happening. I was like, all right. So yeah, that would have been cool. But yeah, we got to make sure everything's ironed out before we go ahead with stuff like that, you know. So
now, before we get too far into this interview, and you won't have heard it just now, but we did kick off this particular episode with the title track from 2013's Heaven in This Hell. I know it's some time back, but can you recall how that tune came to fruition?
Yeah, I actually started that song here in LA, John Feldman, and we just had that riff and sort of the melody and everything. And then I finished it with Dave Stewart in Nashville. And, you know, it's just one of those tracks. It just, it's so fun to play that one live. Really is. It's like voodoo blues rock.
I guess Dave Stewart played a large role in that album. How important was his influence? And I guess, is there a possibility of working with him again?
I'm actually working with him right now on a secret project, which will be announced hopefully quite soon. But, you know, we've been working on this project for quite a few years now. And it's, yeah, I mean, he's a dear friend. You know, Dave and his family have been my, like, English family for, like, 10 years now. So, yeah, I mean, we always collaborate and call each other up and jam. And, you know, it's great. I mean, he's such a magical being, you know, so inspiring to be around someone who loves music so much and just lives for it. And he just, you know, he loves being around different artists and other people, and other artists like love being around, you know, him, because he's just one of those people that that you meet and kind of inspires you, you know, like changes things forever in a way. You know, it's like, for me, the way you sort of look at music and things, and just, he's always staying inspired, you know, and that's like living in the light. And I try to surround myself with people like that, because it's, that's where, you know, I mean, where the magic is, you know, that's where it's at, you know, and just keep on creating and staying in with that childlike, you know, sort of view on music and enthusiasm for creating, you know.
You kind of hinted at this before, but I guess with songs like You Don't Want to Know, the aforementioned title track, How Do You Sleep, and I think the wonderful Filthy Blues, among others, that Heaven in This Hell record was, for me anyway, your best work to date. So the new material you're currently working on, do you think it picks up from Heaven in This Hell?
It does, yeah. There's some heavy tracks on there. And, you know, there's some lighter tracks, there's, you know, bluesy tracks. There's definitely something for everybody. And I think that it's a bit of pop on there too. There's, as I said, it's like, it's different, but it's kind of what people will sort of expect to, you know. So it's not like, oh my God, she's made, like before when I was experimenting with like hip hop and stuff like that, and sounds and beats and guitars, I didn't go completely like change of everything, you know. And the thing is, you have to keep on evolving and changing. You don't want to make the same record over and over again, because you just bore the hell out of myself and everyone else. So it's, you know, I wanted to keep on changing, and I'm already thinking about the next record right now. So Marty and I are writing next week for it, and I've been writing here in my studio, my Lotus Jungle Room studio, which I have out here in LA. And it's a very magical sort of environment I've sort of created here in my home. And I love having musicians over here and just writing and recording and jamming. And, you know, Robbie Krieger came over here from the Doors, and he jammed and filmed here, and had a songwriting co-write not too long ago here as well, which went great. And I'm always just writing in this room, and it just feels good. You know, I got my drum kit here, have full band rehearsals and everything. And it's just staying, you know, sort of, as I said, it's covered with that tapestries and trees and lights and stuff. And it's like you're in the 60s or 70s or something. I don't even know. Time warp.
Can I just ask, your vocals seem to sound stronger and stronger with each release, but if you look at the that last record, I think there's a track called We Are Magic, and there's a track also on the RSO record called Blues Won't Leave Me Alone. They're good examples of that, and I read that very early on in your career, probably I guess when you were still in Adelaide, that you had a vocal coach. Is vocal strength something which you continue to work on, and how do you look after your voice?
Yeah, I'm always trying to get better as a singer. That's something, you know. I mean, I had vocal training from this great rock singer called Vince, in Australia. He actually sings in this band called the Zepp Boys in Australia, and it's like a Led Zeppelin tribute band.
He saw the Zepp Boys,
right? And he's a killer, and he used to be my vocal coach. So and he's just freaking awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I started singing when I was 6 years old, and started strumming guitar because of Elvis and Roy Orbison and the Beatles, and trying to sing along to that kind of stuff and writing songs. And so I started really singing before I started like playing leads or anything like that. But for me, it's just another way to express myself. Because I love writing lyrics late at night and early in the morning, and I just have like a diary I write in. And I love instrumental music. I really do. I'm a big fan of all different genres. That's kind of the problem sometimes, because I'm just like, I just love music. It doesn't matter if it's country, rock, blues, R&B, whatever it is. It's a good song, makes you feel something, then, I go with it. So the way I write and sing and all that, it changes, and I have to sort of go, okay, if I'm making a record, I've got to hone it into a specific sort of sound, so it doesn't sound too disjointed because of my my likes. You know what I mean? Because
sure.
It's like, people get very confused, and it could be an open field of I'm not too sure what. But yeah, maybe I'll make a record like that one day, like a jam band sort of. I've been listening to the Grateful Dead actually lately a lot. So
let's go back in time, if we may. Over 20 years back, in fact, to 1999, you released a demo called Under the Influence. I guess, you're quite young then, 14 or so, and there's some Santana tunes on there. There's a Hudson Whittaker song. But here's what I find interesting. There's one of your earliest original compositions on there called Song for Carlos. Yet some 4 years later, in 2003, you release another demo, 7 tracks, this time all originals. And I think that one of the tunes, Out of Reach, ends up on the Violent Journey album. I guess in terms of original song compositions, that is quite a leap, isn't it, between demos? So am I assuming that must have been an amazing time of confidence and I guess growth within you as a songwriter?
Yeah, I mean, I made that record when I was 13, 14 with my dad in the living room on a Tascam. And my mum allowed us to like empty out the living room, the rumpus room, and the kitchen, and have like, the drummer in there, and everyone played live. My dad like recorded it all, and it was fun. I loved it. And then, and I wrote that song for Carlos, for obviously Santana, because it's a huge influence on this reason why I play electric guitar. And then my dad was like, you know what, you should probably learn how to record yourself. And we built a home studio in the backyard. And I sat with him, and he taught me a lot. And then I went to this studio called Fat Tracks in Adelaide, Australia. And I sat with the engineer there, and he showed me how to mic things. He showed me how to mic an acoustic. He showed me how to mic an amplifier properly, and how to mic a drum kit, and just everything. And that was really interesting and amazing for me, because now I'm able to sort of work and engineer myself here in the studio. I'm not like a great like producer, but I would like to. I have produced some stuff, and I did enjoy it, and it's definitely something I want to get more into, and later on maybe produce other artists. That would be great. I want to definitely get into that. So yeah, it's something that's very interesting. But as an artist, you just evolve. I mean, with, as you're saying, like the growth thing. Yeah, when you start like working, on covers, and then you start branching out and writing your own songs, all that kind of stuff. It's just getting confidence. And I also quit school when I was 15 to join 3 cover bands, and then have my own original thing going on too, and writing songs during the week and learning songs too, because it's 3 sets a night until 3 or 4 a.m. Those cover bands, you play like play the Elephant Wheelbarrow and PJ O'Brien's, all those, and that was fun. And I did that from 15 till about 19, 20. So earned money that way, and got a lot of experience and confidence singing in front of drunken crowds that if they didn't like what you were doing, you would know it. So, it was an interesting, brutal kind of time, but it was worth it, going through that kind of stuff, because then you just sort of learn sort of the hard way, and you get sort of, you just don't give a shit, in the end sometimes, you just go, I can just go out there and do my best, and it kind of makes you a little tougher, I think, so.
How do you think the Violet Journey album stands up 14 years on?
I was really proud of that record, because I did everything myself. on that record. And I was left alone in the studio. It was kind of a weird time in my life and everything, but it was an interesting and amazing time as well, where I just got to, the studio was just built in the backyard. It was a shed or a garage, and we soundproofed it. I played the drums, bass, keys, everything, recorded it all, wrote it all, and that got me my record deal with Jimmy Iovine with Interscope Records. So I just sat in there until I would work until 7 or 8 a.m. sometimes, just drinking Coke, a lot of it.
I just played it a couple of days ago. I think the title track in particular, and there's another one called Right Now, they still sound amazing and very, very fresh.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was funny because that was all down on a Roland 2480 workstation, digital workstation. And then I bounced some of it to reel-to-reel, and I used like this Rode mic and all these different preamps and stuff. And it was, really, I sat there and I just worked as much as I could on trying to hone in on sound. So,
Ori, I want to ask you about the 2009 album Believe. I'm guessing, as it had a radio hit on it with, according to you, that it pushed you towards the more commercial, dare I say, teen market. Yet, as a serious and accomplished musician, was that ever an issue with you, being targeted, I guess, towards that demographic as a pop artist?
Well, I'm a big fan of a good pop song. So I cannot say, because I would listen to, obviously, B.B. King, Stevie Ray, Santana, but on the flip side, I listen to Savage Garden. I'd be listening to, In Excess. I'd be listening to a lot of stuff that was going on with the Australian pop scene too, which was cool because they're freaking amazing. And so I always wanted to put out a pop song. I wanted to have a pop hit. I did, pop rock hit. And I was like, how do I infuse guitar in a pop song that would make like a lot of kids want to pick up electric guitar? And that was my goal. And that's why I went into the studio one day and I put down that like 80s tapping guitar solo. And it was almost like a joke at the beginning. I was like, okay, how's this going to work? Like, and I was like, no, it's going to work. It's going to, be different, because that's the point of difference. And I was very strong in my opinion with that. When I heard that song, and because two writers actually wrote the song, and I came in, and when I heard the demo of it, then we reworked it. And so I just thought that the lyric was so strong. They brought it to me, and I was like, this is freaking awesome. It's definitely it's one of those tracks that I just feel really proud of. I mean, it had a lot of success, but I worked really hard for that to happen too. Like, I visited every radio station, did 2 or 3 cities in one day, actually. I didn't sleep for 3 or 4 months of actually 4 months just promoting the radio tour, maybe more. And then toured around the world, went to Japan like 8 or 9 times a year. And just, I've worked it. Worked it hard. So, you got to be that way when it comes down to things. And if you believe in something, and I always told, my family and friends when I was really young, I'm like, I'm going to have a platinum record. And so I just worked it until I did. So
Believe did pretty well in Japan. I think it got to number 4 and was certified gold, I think. And you've always had a loyal following in Japan, haven't you?
Yeah. It's been pretty crazy actually to cope, like headline, like, the huge Summer Sonic Festival, people, and they're all singing your song, and English isn't their first language, and you just go out and you go, holy shit, like this is really special and beautiful and amazing. And that high is just something that's like, wow, like it's connected, like that many people have connected to a track, it's music, the power of music. It's amazing.
Before we get off track from that album, I personally think that Bad News had big potential to be a hit single as well. Great rock song.
I wish that song was a single. I wrote that one with Desmond Child. That was one of the first songs I wrote.
What was that like, writing with Desmond?
I love Desmond. He's magical as well. And I met him, he was one of the first writers I met actually coming out to LA, which is insane. I had lunch with him at the Earth Cafe with Andreas Carlson, and we wrote Bad News and recorded the first demo in Charlie Chapman's house in Hollywood, in the Hollywood Hills. And it was a crazy experience, and it was amazing. And I knew when we wrote it, that it was something really special. And just writing with Desmond in general, he's just, hit maker, and just like he just knows how to get those choruses going and make me sing, the top of my range. And there's so many takes that I think the song was actually higher before. He had me singing like he's like, no, scream higher, scream. I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm gonna sound like a dying animal here. But he always he always pushes me, which I love, about Desmond.
It's easy to say in hindsight, yet I've always thought that those albums display a really natural progression. I mean, there's a big progression from Violet Journey to Believe to Heaven in This Hell, yet they all sit comfortably alongside one another. Do you know what I mean? All different, but a really strong natural progression.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're, evolving and changing, and that's going to continue to happen for hopefully rest of my life, just writing stuff. And I've got so many more songs with this whole situation right now of isolating and not being around that many people at all. Actually, I haven't seen any really.
Ori, I'm going to run through a couple of questions here, random ones, which I consider to be important points in your rock and roll journey thus far, which I hope you can elaborate on. 4th of May 1996, you see Santana at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre as an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm. That was a turning point for me, because when he played Europa, I was like, whoa. I was playing classical guitar at the time. I turned to my dad. I'm like, that's what I want to be able to do. I want to play electric. Because his tone, melody, it was beautiful. And I was blown away. It was just one of those moments that you'll never forget. I will never forget. And I think quite a few artists have that moment where they just know, like, okay, I want to be able to do that. Or try to anyway. Yeah.
Supporting Steve Vai, 7th of February 2000 at Adelaide's Heaven nightclub.
That was wild. So it's funny. I used to read a lot of my dad's guitar playing magazines and Guitar World and all that good stuff. But no, that wasn't Guitar World. I think it was called just Guitar magazine back then. And he had them from the 80s, and he just had a huge collection. So I'd read Steve Vai's metaphysical sort of column, and had Alien Love Secrets out, and he was dressed, he was out there and awesome. And I was like reading and going, this guy's really spiritual, it's really cool, and really dig it. And I hadn't really listened to his music as much, right? So I would listen to some of it because it would come. Remember the CDs used to come on the front of the magazine. The magazine,
yep.
So I used to put them on and listen, and I think it was like Bad Horsey or something I listened to back then, and something, yeah, For the Love of God. And then I had never seen him live, so just getting that support out as one of my first supports was like daunting anyway, let alone opening for Steve Vai. Holy shit, right? So like a 14-year-old girl with a backing tape CD, in front of Heaven nightclub, all these guys with their arms folded. I go out there and I'm scared to death. Like, this is crazy. I just signed my management, 14, and this is like the big thing. And there was no fallback, so I had to listen to the count-in. I put the backing tracks down myself, right? And went out there and played for like 30 or 40 minutes. And Steve was watching the whole thing, and then he stayed in contact with me from then, and I would send him demos, and he would write back and tell me what I could improve, what he liked, and all that kind of stuff. And he's been just, I don't know, like, in his family, they're like my American family over here. And it's kind of amazing to have that friendship. And, he's just an incredible, incredible player and performer and person and artist and all of that. And when he came up on stage, I remember after I finished my set and watched him, he came up with a miner's light in his head and lasers on his fingers and shredding like there's no tomorrow, and then playing the most beautiful melodies and everything else, going, holy crap. Thank God. It was like, whoa, and mind like completely blown. And then I got to write a track with him. I actually called him up because I wanted an instrumental track on that Interscope record, I believe. And I said to him, would you be down to write an instrumental? He's like, yeah, totally. So he had this idea, and then I went over there and we wrote and recorded it in an afternoon, actually. And the song, the guitars you hear are actually the demo guitars, everything on that track we put out, because it just felt right. We recorded it again individually, right? It didn't sound the way it sounded on the demo, so we kept that. And I was really proud of it. And we got like think like 12 million, 13 million views or something on YouTube with that channel. And I was like, we're shooting a music video for that. And I was like, okay. And, and that got on Guitar Hero. And it's really cool to see a lot of YouTube videos of people that do it, cover it, and they really dig it. So, yeah.
Good stuff. What about the ZZ Top support a couple of months later? I think that was April 19th, 2000 at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre.
Oh my God, ZZ Top, one of my favourite bands. Billy Gibbons, legend, insane. I was blown away that I got that support, and Billy and I are friends. We've been friends since I was 16, and we just jam recently and text here and there, and just bump into each other. It's pretty wild, actually. I mean, I was just blown away. I got that support back then. They were really cool. They were really cool to me. So that was crazy and an amazing moment, an honor, true honor.
I've got a couple of random questions before we finish up. I know you picked up many accolades over the last few years, but I guess how special was it to be inducted into the South Australian Music Hall of Fame a few years back?
That was a beautiful night. That was pretty wild. Whole family, friends, everybody being there and just going, okay, thank you very much. Now I've got to really earn this. Moving forward. So that's the way I sort of feel about it. Like, I have it, but now I've just got to, I'm never completely satisfied with what I've done completely. I'm always looking forward to the next thing, right? So, yeah, I mean, I was just it's such an honor, really is. And I just want to make Australia, Adelaide, my family, friends, and that, like, proud, and the music I create and put out there and the shows I play. So I'm going to continue to do that, and hopefully they are, they don't disappoint anybody.
Is there anyone in particular who you'd really love to work with but haven't?
God, there are quite a few, actually, and we're in talks right now, actually, a couple of them, but gosh, I'd love to do a song with Keith Urban.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'd love to record a song with Santana, because we've spoken about it, but never got around to doing that. So that'd be cool.
I guess you also spent 3 or 4 busy years on the road with Alice Cooper, a relationship that was rekindled not too long ago when you got up and jammed with the Coop at the Greek Theatre. I guess what would you say were the most important things you learnt from him? He's got a pretty hard work ethic, doesn't he?
Alice is the best. I loved working with him. And it's funny because after the last day of recording in Nashville, Heaven in This Hell with Dave Stewart, that's when I got the call from Alice Cooper to join the band. Because we just did the finale for American Idol, and I got up and played Schools Out with him. And I did session work with Bob Ezrin, who's his producer, with a Canadian artist. And so when Damon Johnson left the Alice Cooper band for Thin Lizzy, Alice called me and he's like, hey, Ori, would you be my lead guitar player? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. He goes, well, okay, 25 songs you're going to learn in a week. Can we start a world tour? And I'm like, sure, awesome. So I finished the, recording in Nashville, head back home to LA. And then I sat down and listened to the material, and I'm like, oh my God, holy crap. These are intense. And I was like freaking out. I remember for a whole week, I was like to everybody, you're not going to hear from me. Don't even talk to me. I am in Alice Cooper world. And then Damon was very sweet. Damon Johnson, he flew down actually and went over a few songs with me, because I had trouble retaining quite a few of them and knowing, because it's so orchestrated. There's 3 guitar players, right? And it's all different parts. So there's one song called Halo of Flies, which goes for 9 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, how do I even look at this song? Like, just think of it as like 3 songs in one. It's like Frank Zappa time signature as well. Like, it's all over the place, and it's really wild. I love it though. And when I got it, because I already had it tight, but when I got it tight and I knew what I was doing, it was freaking awesome. And I had the best time. And with Alice, I mean, it was like 4 years, I think, of solid touring with him, or 3.5, something like that. And then I met up with Richie at Sambora in was it Maui, New Year's? And then he was like, hey, let's do something together. And so, we decided to make a record. That's kind of RSO thing. And I told Alice that, I'm going to go make this record. And, so that, but Alice and I and his family, and the band, they're my brothers. I mean, you live with I lived with them on a bus for 4 years. You know, sleep with family. You know each other very well. And so it's kind of like, it's a forever thing, and I love them, and we text regularly and stay in contact and see each other as much as we can, and it's a beautiful thing, and I think the world of Alice and his family and the band. I really do.
You touched on this earlier. Going way back, how important were the local Adelaide gigs you did with cover band Drop D?
Really important, yeah. I mean, I got my confidence up as a singer, songwriting and all that kind of stuff too, because I'd be like playing them my originals and we would all jam them out sometimes, and just getting confident with being in a band situation and singing lead vocals and all that kind of stuff. It was definitely in the beginning kind of it was very daunting going out there as like a 15-year-old and in pubs and being underage and putting a ton of makeup on and hairspraying my hair to high heaven. I'm really 18, everybody. And they're like, 15-year-old singer, guitar player, and like, oh shit. And then the security comes in out. It's a half the stuff I get paid for, but it was funny actually.
Were they the guys you had backing you at that Gov show in late 2014?
Yeah. You know what? Had a couple of those members. Yes, I'd be in and out of that band. Yes,
and we were at that show.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we were in different cover bands. So I had another cover band with Roger and Regan, and then I had Drop D with this guy called Jamie and Sam, I believe. And I'm terrible. Oh God, I can't remember everyone's name, but it was honestly I had a really great time. I had different cover bands going on. I really did. And I would join other ones too. Like they would say, hey, are you free to fill in and do this? And so I would make pretty good money actually, 15-year-old up to about 19 playing 3 times a week, But I was a night owl and I was, I didn't really sleep much at all actually during those years at all. So, but it was fun.
I ask this question during interviews quite often, and I will do to you. There was a book published some years back now written by Kathleen Tracy, one which seemed to be aimed, I guess, at the teen market. Do you have plans to one day write an official biography?
I was talking about that the other day with a promoter friend of mine, and a couple of other producers were saying you should probably write a story, so people know the journey and everything. But I don't know, because there's so many things that are happening and have happened and are happening now, and I want to add. There's a few more things I want to happen to my story before I start digging in. I think before reflecting too much, because I'm still in that mode of okay, I'm putting out this record, I'm putting out the next
in the now.
Yeah, in the now. So probably in the next few years, I might because the next few years I'm thinking about I want to kind of have a family and sort of still, tour when it's safe to tour and everything's, back to normal, but kind of change my life a little bit.
Well, if you do get a book happening, there is an old quote from a bio of yours, which you might consider using as the epigraph, which states, her fierceness of character has made its way to songs that will simply knock the socks off any boy in the rock star schoolyard. How cool is that?
That's cool. I like that.
Orianthi, it's been an honour to get you on the show today, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing new music from you. I guess I know you're fairly active on both Facebook and Twitter. You have a site at iamorianthi.com. If fans wish to follow you and get the latest news and tour updates, is the website the best place for them to do so?
I'm very active on Instagram, actually. Okay. At iamorianthi on Instagram. Look for the blue marking, because that will be official. There are 6 or 7 fake ones right now that are really weird, and don't follow them.
Before you go, every guest on our show gets to choose a song by an Australian band, something which is significant to them. Can be one of yours if you like. What would you like to choose and why?
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot here. I've got to think about this now, because there are so many great Australian bands I just love. I mean, obviously In Excess. I'm a huge In Excess fan. I'm gonna say, oh gosh, if I have to pick an In Excess track, I'm gonna do that. But Let me think about it. Oh, God. See,
Don't change?
This is a hard one. This is a hard one because, you know, I don't want to, like, they have so many good songs. They literally, I mean, I've covered quite a few of them. Gosh, Never Tear Us Apart. So goodbye. I want to put an upbeat one there too. And then Devil Inside. Oh, gosh.
Did you do, you used to do Don't Change in RSO, didn't you? I saw you at the Animal do that.
We did that, and Richard Wilkins played drums. It was funny. And then we had John Farris actually come out and play the drums too. That was wild. Elegantly Wasted. I'm going to say that song. Why not?
Wonderful. Why have you chosen that?
Because it's such a really cool title and it's freaking awesome. I just love it. It's a good song. It's got a vibe. In Excess are all about a vibe. Michael Hutchins was just one of the best frontmen ever. And I just really dig what they did as a band. I really dig. And I'm just going to pick that track because I just think it's a killer title and it's a rad track. So
wonderful. We'll close out with that. Thank you again, Orianthi. All the best for the release of the new album and indeed for the remainder of the year.
Thank you so much. You too.